All right, guys. Today we have some exercises that are very similar to what we've done just yesterday. And what they're asking us to do is determine the equation of a line that passes through these points. Now, this is very similar to if I were to give you a graph of the line and say find the equation of that line. Okay, so it's still I got my little sign up here. It's still all about y equals mx plus b. However, today, since they didn't give us a graph, we could go and graph it, but that's going to, I don't want to do that. Why do that when we can simply use this equation, okay, for slope? So let's see how we can do these. Now, these take a little more actual math to do than the ones we were doing previously. So let's dive right in here. It's all about y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to start with putting y, whoops, how'd that happen? Hello. Y equals, let me take that out of there. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to write that right along the top here. And same thing, I have to figure out what my slope is, and I have to figure out what my y-intercept is, what my b is, okay? But today, since we don't have the graph, we're going to do it the other way. Yesterday, we figured out the y-intercept first, and then we figured out the slope. Well, today, we're going to figure out the slope first, all right? So I'm going to use my equation over here, and I'm just going to use these 2 points that they give me. They say the line definitely goes through these 2 points, all right? So I'm going to call this one my first point. So this is x sub 1, and this is y sub 1. This is x sub 2, and this is y sub 2. All right, so now all I have to do is take these numbers, plug them into this equation, and do a little math. All right, so this means I'm going to take 3, because this is y sub 2, minus 5, because that's y sub 1. All right, and I'm going to put it over x sub 2, which is 2, minus, now be careful here, see there's a minus sign already in this equation, and then there's a minus sign or a negative sign there, so look at how I write it. I write that 4 with a negative sign, and I put it in parentheses there. Okay? So 3 minus 5, that is a negative 2. 2 minus a minus, that is actually 2 plus, so I get a 6. All right, and I can reduce if I can, so that is going to be negative 1/3. So there is my slope. So far, right? So far, here's my equation. Boom, boom, boom. Y equals m is negative 1/3. So far, my equation looks like this. All right. So now here's part 2. Okay. Here's part 2. All I have to figure out is what b is. Well, how am I going to do that? I have 3 things that I don't know here. Oh, but wait. I have these points up here that definitely work. So what I can do is I can just pick one of these points and plug them into this equation for y and x. I'm going to take this one right here. I'm going to take this one because, well, there's no negative. All right, I don't see a negative. I think, well, that might make it a little easier for me. Who knows? We'll see. All right, it doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to take this one. All right, so I'm going to take that point and I'm going to plug in y value of 3 and an x value of 2. Whoops, that's a 1/3 over there. Let me fix that. That's a 1/3 plus b. Okay, so now I've gotten rid of these variables. Now I just solve for b. All right, we've done that before. We've done it many times before. That's 2/3 plus b, and in order to solve for b here, I just add 2/3 to both sides. Okay, and 3 plus 2/3 is just 3 and 2/3. All right, so the big end here, I put my 3 little dots. That means thusly, henceforth. All right, so thus, what I have is y. Oh, that's a terrible y. Let me fix that one. All right, y equals my m, I already figured out to be negative 1/3. My x, I'm just going to leave it there. And my b, I just figured out to be a positive 3 and 2/3. So there is my equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. Okay, so it's the same process every time. You start with your y equals mx plus b, and number one, you figure out your slope. All right, how did I figure out my slope? I used my formula for slope, and I used the 2 points that they gave me. And then I wrote down, okay, so far I have this. So once I have that, then I can just pick one of these points, and that would be like step 2 here. Pick one of those points and plug it in and solve for b. And then I'm good to go. I'm off into my equation here. All right? So each one of these exercises is going to be that similar set of steps right there. All right, here is exercise 2, and they're asking us to do the same thing. I took off my little banner over here because I didn't think we needed it anymore. But you're going to start with y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to put this up here. And here we go, step number 1. All right, just like last time, we need to figure out our slope. So I'm going to plug in to my slope equation, which looks like this. I'm going to plug in these 2 points up here. And again, this is going to be x sub 1, y sub 1, and over here is going to be x sub, oops, why did I put a 2 there? I don't know. Y sub 1, x sub 2, and y sub 2. All right, so I'm going to plug those in. So this is going to be 15 minus 9 over 3 minus 0. Okay, and I just do the math. 15 minus 9 is 6. 3 minus 0 is 3. So I get a slope of 2. All right, so far, my equation is going to look like this. Alrighty, step number 2. Okay, I'll even put a little 2 here. Now I've got to figure out what my y-intercept is. So just pick one of these points up here. I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to plug in those values for y and x. Now my y value is 9. And my x value is 0. And this one is really easy to figure out because 2 times 0 is 0. So that means b equals 9. All right, so that means I can come over here and take what I had so far, this y equals 2x plus b, and just take the b out and put in the 9. And I am all done. Fini. All right, it's easy as that, guys. Really, it's every single time. Start with y equals mx plus b, figure out your slope, plug in the values, figure out b. There you go. There it is. All right, let me turn off this one and let me turn on this next exercise. Again, same thing. So I'm going to start with y equals mx plus b. And step number 1, I want to figure out my slope. Okay, so slope, and that is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So go up here. I don't think I need to label these anymore. I think we've done this enough. But watch your negatives. I'm going to take negative 16, subtract negative 6 over 8 minus 0. Okay, let's see what we get here. Negative 16 minus a negative. That's actually negative 16 plus 6. So that's going to be a negative 10 over 8. All right, and I can reduce that if I want to. That's a negative 5 over 2. All right, how did I get negative 5 over 2? I have no idea. How about a negative 5 over 4? There we go. Okay, so there's my slope. So far, here's my in-between step. So far, we have this as the slope, and I still have to figure out what b is. All right, so let's take one of these numbers. I'm gonna take this first one right here. A lot of times I pick the ones with zeros because hey, that's gonna make it pretty easy on me dealing with a 0 here. So I'm gonna plug in. Here's step 2. I'm gonna plug in the negative 6 for the y value, and I'm gonna plug in the 0 for the x, and oh look, it made it much easier if I would have used, compared to using this one. All right, because negative 5/4 times 0 is a 0. So my b is negative 6. That means, use even a different color here, that means my equation, I take what I had here and then I plug in the b, y equals negative 5/4 x and a negative 6. There's my equation of that line. All right? So that's number 3. Let's try number 4 right away here. Let's get rid of this one and turn this one on. Oh, and my little sign came back up in case you forgot. So let's do the same thing. Let's start out with y equals mx plus b. And let's figure out my slope, right? Remember, slope. And I'm not going to write it again because it's right over here. So slope, I'm going to subtract the y's. Oh, look at this one. That's the same number up there. I wonder what's going to happen. All right, and then I'm going to subtract the x's. So let's see. Now, negative 11 minus a minus, that's really plus. So that actually gives me a 0 up there. And this gives me a 2 down here. Well, 0 divided by anything is just 0. Huh, we didn't have that happen before. So far, let me put it down. Y equals m. Oh, my m is 0. X plus b. Well, that's kind of weird because 0 times anything is 0. So that is going to cross out. So my equation really is y equals b. Well, how am I going to figure out what the b is? Well, I can do the same thing. I can take either one of these and plug in what the y value is. Look at both of them have the same y value. So b must be negative 11. Okay, so that means that y equals negative 11. That is my equation. I took it right from there and I just plugged in the b. Okay, and you should remember that is one of those special lines that is actually going to be a horizontal line at negative 11. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.